My wife had moved into her mother's place to care for her, so I decided to surprise her and went there with our 7-year-old son. The front door was slightly open. My son peeked in, then tugged my sleeve. "Dad, look," quietly. When I pulled into my mother-in-law's driveway at 11:47 a.m. on a Saturday morning with a box of Krispy Kreme donuts and my 7-year-old son Lucas beside me, I thought I was doing something nice, something supportive. My wife Sarah had been caring for her dying mother for 6 weeks, barely coming home, always exhausted when she did, always stressed, always talking about how hard it was watching Linda deteriorate from stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I wanted to help, surprise her, show her she wasn't alone in this. But when we reached the front porch, I noticed the door was cracked open, not wide, just an inch, enough to hear voices inside. Lucas grabbed my hand. "Dad," he whispered, "something's weird." I was about to knock when Lucas, being 7 and curious, peeked through the gap, then went completely still. His fingers tightened around mine, and he looked up at me with eyes wider than I'd ever seen. "Dad, look," quietly. I leaned down and peered through the crack in the door. The living room was visible, blankets everywhere, pill bottles lined up on the coffee table like props in a stage production, medical equipment I'd helped pay for sitting unused in the corner, but that wasn't what made my stomach drop. It was the laughter. Sarah's mother, Linda, sat on the couch in a silk bathrobe, glass of red wine in hand, scrolling through her phone. Not sick, not dying, not even tired. Her hair was styled, her makeup was done. She looked healthier than I did. Sarah stood nearby, holding up her iPhone. "Okay, Mom, one more photo. This one's for the midday update. Looks sad, like you're really struggling." Linda rolled her eyes but arranged her face into a pained expression. Weak, suffering, Oscar-worthy. Sarah snapped the picture, then grinned. "Perfect. That's going straight to the GoFundMe. Should get us another few thousand by tonight." My blood went ice cold. GoFundMe. Lucas tugged my sleeve. "Dad, what's GoFundMe?" I couldn't answer because Sarah kept talking. "We're at $22,000 now," she said, scrolling through her phone. "Can you believe it? People are so generous when they think someone's dying." Linda laughed. Actually laughed. "I told you this would work. Your father never believed in creative income." Sarah snorted. "Dad was boring. This is easy money, and Mark just keeps sending more whenever I ask." She said my name like I was a joke. A mark. A fool. I stepped back from the door, my heart hammering, my hands shaking. Lucas stared at me, confused. "Is Grandma okay?" he whispered. "She's fine," I said quietly. "Too fine." Let me back up. I'd been married to Sarah for 9 years. Met her when I was 27, working as a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Austin. She was a marketing coordinator. Beautiful, smart, ambitious. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. Life was good. We bought a house, had Lucas, built what I thought was a solid marriage. Money was never tight. My salary was $120,000 a year. Sarah made $65,000. We lived comfortably, saved regularly, took nice vacations. 6 weeks ago, everything changed. Sarah called me at work at 2:17 p.m., crying, actually sobbing. "Mark, it's Mom. She collapsed. They're running tests. It doesn't look good." I left work immediately, drove to the hospital, found Sarah in the waiting room, mascara running, hands shaking. "They think it's cancer," she said. "Pancreatic. They're doing a biopsy, but the doctors said it looks advanced." I held her while she cried, called my boss, took 3 days off to help, sat in hospital waiting rooms, supported my wife through the worst news of her life. The diagnosis came 2 days later. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6 months to live, maybe a year with aggressive treatment. Linda was 62, too young, too healthy seeming. The diagnosis felt like a punch to the gut. "She needs to start treatment immediately," Sarah told me through tears. "But the insurance won't cover everything. We're looking at out-of-pocket costs of," she paused, calculating, "maybe $40,000. We'll figure it out," I said. "Whatever she needs." Sarah hugged me tight. "I need to move in with her, help her through this. Someone needs to be there 24/7. For how long? I don't know. However long she has." I didn't question it. How could I? My mother-in-law was dying. My wife needed to care for her. That's what families do. Sarah moved into Linda's house the next day, took a leave of absence from work, started her role as full-time caregiver, and I sent her the first check, $8,000 from our savings. "For medical costs," Sarah said. "Co-pays, medications, equipment." I sent it without hesitation. The first strange thing I noticed was 3 weeks ago. Sarah posted on Facebook, "Day 21 of caring for Mom. The hardest thing I've ever done. Watching her suffer breaks my heart. Please keep her in your prayers." The photo showed Linda in a hospital bed, tubes in her nose, eyes closed, looking frail. 600 comments. "Praying for you. Stay strong. Sending love." But something about the photo bothered me. The timestamp. It was taken at 7:13 p.m. Sarah had told me Linda was sleeping by 6 hours every night because the pain medication knocked her out. I told myself I was overthinking it. That grief makes you paranoid. Then I noticed the manicure. In a photo Sarah posted 2 days later, another heartbreaking update. Her nails were freshly done. French tip. clips. Professional. Those cost at least $60. Sarah, I asked during one of her rare phone calls home, did you get your nails done? What? No. Why? Your photo from yesterday. Your nails look fresh. Silence. Then, oh, that photo was from last week. I just posted it late. I haven't had time for self-care, Mark. I'm busy keeping my mother alive. The guilt hit immediately. Of course she hadn't. I was being ridiculous. Except the metadata on the photo, which I checked because I couldn't shake the feeling, showed it was taken the same day it was posted. The second strange thing was 2 weeks ago. Our joint credit card statement came. I always reviewed it. Habit from my finance-conscious parents. Line item, DoorDash, $147.63. Date, 3 days ago. I called Sarah. Hey, quick question. Did you order DoorDash? Yeah. I was too tired to cook. Is that a problem? No, just 147? That's a lot for takeout. Mom can't eat much, but when she does, I order whatever she wants. She's dying, Mark. I'm not going to deny her comfort food. Right, of course. Sorry. But $147 for someone who could barely eat. That was sushi for 4 people. Expensive sushi. I looked at the previous week's statement. Another DoorDash charge, $163, and another $129. In 3 weeks, Sarah had spent over $800 on food delivery for someone who supposedly couldn't keep anything down. The third strange thing happened 10 days ago. Sarah posted another update. Mom had a terrible night. Pain is unbearable. We're considering hospice. The photo showed Sarah looking exhausted, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, brave and suffering. But in the background, barely visible, was a shopping bag from Neiman Marcus. I zoomed in, confirmed it. Neiman Marcus, the luxury department store where a t-shirt costs $300. I checked our credit card. No charges from Neiman Marcus, which meant she'd used cash or another card. I told myself maybe it was old. Maybe it had been there before Linda got sick, but my gut said otherwise. 4 days later, I hired a private investigator. His name was James Rodriguez, former Houston PD detective, 23 years on the force, now running Rodriguez investigations. His website showed testimonials from divorce lawyers and insurance fraud cases. I called him from my car during lunch. I think my wife is lying about her mother's illness. What makes you think that? I told him. The photos, the spending, the inconsistencies. Could just be stress, he said. People act weird during terminal illness. Or she's lying. What do you want me to find out? If Linda's actually sick, medical records, truth, that's not legal without consent. I need to know if my wife is lying to me. He was quiet. Then, I can do surveillance. Document what I see. If your mother-in-law is healthy, it'll be obvious. How much? $2,000 for a week, plus expenses. I wired him the money that afternoon. James called me 3 days later at 6:47 p.m. Mr. Chen, we need to talk. In person. We met at a coffee shop across town. He slid a folder across the table. Your mother-in-law isn't sick. My stomach dropped. You're sure? Positive. I've been watching the house for 3 days. Linda leaves every morning at 9:30, goes to yoga, then lunch at upscale restaurants, then shopping. She came home yesterday with bags from Nordstrom, Sephora, and Williams-Sonoma. He showed me photos. Linda in workout clothes, laughing with friends outside a yoga studio. Linda at lunch, drinking wine, looking healthy and vibrant. Linda carrying shopping bags, smiling. No sick woman moved like that. There's more, James said. I ran a medical database search. Public records only. Linda hasn't been admitted to any hospital in the past 3 months. No ER visits. No oncology appointments. Are you sure? I'm sure. Whatever your wife told you, it's a lie. My hands were shaking. Can you prove it legally? I can get you her medical records with proper authorization. If she's been to a doctor recently, we can subpoena those records. But Mr. Chen, he leaned forward. If your wife is faking her mother's cancer, that's fraud, especially if money's involved. They have a GoFundMe. His expression hardened. How much have they raised? I don't know. Sarah mentioned it once, but said she didn't want to ask people for money. Check. Now. I pulled out my phone, searched for Sarah's name plus GoFundMe. Found it immediately. Help Linda fight stage 4 cancer. Current total, $22,680. My vision blurred. Jesus, James muttered. That's felony fraud? Wire fraud if they're using online platforms? Federal crime? What do? You document everything. Get medical proof Linda's healthy. Report it to GoFundMe and law enforcement. And Mr. Chen, he looked at me seriously. You get a divorce lawyer today. I contacted Dr. Patricia Vance the next morning. Dr. Vance was Linda's primary care physician. I knew because I'd seen paperwork when Linda visited us last Christmas. I called her office and explained I was Linda's son-in-law and had concerns about her diagnosis. Mr. Chen, I can't discuss patient records without consent. I understand, but my wife claims Linda has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. We've been sending money for treatment. I just need to know if that's true. Silence. Then, Mr. Chen, Linda doesn't have cancer. She came in for a routine checkup 6 weeks ago. Perfectly healthy. Blood work was normal. We didn't even order imaging. My throat tightened. You're certain? Completely. She's my patient. I would know. Can you put that in writing? Not without a subpoena or Linda Linda's consent. What if I told you there's fraud involved, that people have donated over $20,000 based on a fake cancer diagnosis? Her tone changed. That's illegal. I know. I need proof. Contact a lawyer. Have them subpoena my records. I'll cooperate fully. I hired Alexandra Martinez that afternoon. Martinez and Associates. Family law. 22 years practicing in Texas. Handled high-asset divorces and fraud cases. Mr. Chen, what you're describing is serious. Medical fraud, GoFundMe fraud, possibly wire fraud. This isn't just a divorce case. This could be criminal. What do? We build a bulletproof case. Medical records proving Linda's healthy. Financial records showing where the GoFundMe money went. Screenshots of every post, every update, every lie. We document everything, then we expose it publicly and legally. How long will that take? A week if we move fast. I'll file for a subpoena of Linda's medical records today. Once we have those, we take everything to the police and the press. The press? Mr. Chen, your wife committed fraud against hundreds of people. They deserve to know, and public exposure will prevent her from claiming this was a misunderstanding. What about my son? That's why we do this right. Full custody. Document that your wife is a liar and a fraud. No judge will give her custody after this. The medical records arrived 4 days later via courier. I opened the envelope in my car, hands shaking, heart pounding. Dr. Vance's official letterhead. Notarized statement. To whom it may concern. This letter confirms that Linda Morrison, DOB 0312 1962, is a patient under my care. She underwent a routine physical examination on September 15, 2023. All blood work, imaging, and diagnostic tests returned normal results. Ms. Morrison does not have cancer of any kind. She is in good health for her age. Signed, Dr. Patricia Vance, MD. I sat there reading it 5 times. My wife had lied about everything for 6 weeks. Stolen from strangers. Stolen from me. All while I worked, paid bills, and raised our son alone. I spent the next 2 days gathering everything else. Screenshots of every Facebook post Sarah made. Every heartbreaking update. Every photo of Linda looking sick. Photos I now knew were staged. Bank statements showing the $8,000 I'd transferred. Credit card statements showing the DoorDash charges. The shopping sprees. The spa treatments. James's surveillance photos of Linda at yoga, at lunch, shopping. Dr. Vance's medical records. Alexandra compiled it all into a legal brief. This is the strongest fraud case I've seen in 5 years. The DA will have no problem prosecuting. When do we move? Tomorrow. I'll send everything to GoFundMe's fraud department, the local news stations, and the police. We expose it all at once. They won't have time to spin the story. Sarah will lose everything. She should. She's a criminal. But I had one more thing to do. Saturday morning. Donuts. Lucas. I needed to see it for myself. Needed to witness the lie before I burned it all down. So I drove to Linda's house, parked in the driveway, and approached the front door with my son. And there they were, laughing, planning, celebrating how easy it was to steal from good people. I pulled Lucas back from the door and walked back to my truck. My phone was in my hand, email draft already written, ready to send. Dad? Lucas whispered. What's wrong? Nothing, buddy. Dad just needs to do something. I opened the email, triple-checked the recipient list. GoFundMe Fraud Department, Houston Police, Department Financial Crimes Unit, Channel 2, News Investigative Team, Channel 11 News. Every person who'd commented on Sarah's Facebook posts, BCC'd 347 people. Subject, fraud alert, Linda Morrison. Cancer, GoFundMe is a scam body. Attached, you will find 1. Medical records from Dr. Patricia Vance confirming Linda Morrison does not have cancer and is in perfect health. 2. Surveillance photos showing Linda Morrison at yoga, restaurants, and shopping. Activities impossible for a stage 4 cancer patient. 3. Bank records showing GoFundMe proceeds were used for luxury purchases, not medical care. 4. Screenshots of staged photos used to deceive donors. Linda Morrison and Sarah Chen have defrauded over 300 donors of $22,680 by faking a terminal cancer diagnosis. This is criminal fraud. The evidence is attached. My finger hovered over send. I thought about Sarah, about 9 years of marriage, about the life we'd built. Then I thought about the 347 people who'd donated, who'd believed the lie, who'd sent money they probably couldn't afford because they thought they were helping someone die with dignity. I hit send. The email delivered at 11:52 a.m. I waited 60 seconds. Then I opened the front door and walked inside. Sarah and Linda were still in the living room. Linda was posing for another photo, this time looking exhausted but hopeful, while Sarah adjusted the lighting. They both turned when I walked in. Sarah's face went white. Mark, how long have you been? Long enough, I said. Linda stood up fast, spilling her wine on the expensive rug. Red stains spreading like blood. Mark, this isn't what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like you're faking cancer to commit fraud. Sarah's phone slipped from her hand, hit the hardwood with a crack. Mark, I can explain. Explain to who? The police? GoFundMe? The 100 people you stole from? Her voice went shrill. We didn't steal. People gave willingly, based on lies. That's called fraud. Linda's face went from white to red. You had no right to spy on us. You had no right to steal from people who trusted you. Sarah stepped forward, hands out like she was approaching a wild animal. Mark, please, we can fix this. I'll return the money. I'll delete the posts. No one has to know. Too late. They already know. Her eyes went wide. What did you do? I sent the evidence. Medical records proving your mom isn't sick. Surveillance photos, bank statements, everything. To GoFundMe, to the police, and to every person who donated. The color drained from Sarah's face completely. She looked like a corpse. You what? I also sent it to the local news stations. They're running the story tonight. 6 o'clock broadcast. Linda grabbed Sarah's arm. He's bluffing. He wouldn't. I'm not bluffing, I said. I pulled out my phone and showed them the sent email. Timestamp, 11:52 a.m. Recipient list scrolling for pages. Sarah's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the couch. Mark, you can't. Everyone will see. My job, my friends, my family. Everyone will see the truth. Please. Her voice cracked. Actually cracked. Think about what this will do to us. To Lucas. To our family. I did think about it. That's why I'm teaching our son not to be a liar. Linda started shouting. You vindictive piece of... You're destroying your own wife. For what? To feel superior? I'm destroying a criminal. Who happens to be my wife? Sarah was crying now. Real tears. Not the performed kind. Mark, please, I made a mistake. I was desperate. We can work this out. Work what out? You stole $22,000 from strangers. You took $8,000 from our savings. You lied to me for 6 weeks. You faked your mother's cancer. What part of that is workable? I'll pay it back. I'll make it right. You can't make this right. You can only face consequences. The first police siren wailed in the distance. Sarah's head snapped toward the window. No, 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 no. I called them before I came. They're probably 3 minutes out. Linda grabbed her purse. We're leaving. Right now. Sarah, You're not leaving, I said. The house is surrounded. I made sure of it. It wasn't surrounded. But they didn't know that. Sarah lunged at me. Actually lunged. Give me your phone. Delete it. Delete everything. I stepped back, kept my phone out of reach. It's already sent, Sarah. It's done. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Linda stood frozen, realizing the walls were closing in. Lucas tugged my sleeve. Dad, what's happening? Justice, buddy. We're watching justice happen. The first patrol car pulled up at 11:57 a.m. Through the window, I watched Officer James Martinez, 28 years old, 5 years with Houston PD, step out of the vehicle. He was followed by Detective Rachel Foster, Financial Crimes Division, 14 years on the force. They walked up to the front door. I opened it before they could knock. Mr. Chen? Martinez asked. That's me. These are the suspects. Sarah Chen, my wife. Linda Morrison, her mother. Detective Foster stepped inside, notebook already out. Mrs. Chen, Ms. Morrison, I'm Detective Foster with Financial Crimes. We've received evidence of fraud related to a GoFundMe campaign. I need to ask you some questions. Sarah was still sobbing. This is a misunderstanding. Ma'am, we have medical records indicating you don't have cancer, Foster said, looking at Linda. We also have surveillance showing you engaged in activities inconsistent with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and we have financial records showing GoFundMe proceeds were used for personal expenses. Linda tried to speak. Nothing came out. Foster continued. You're both under investigation for wire fraud, theft by deception, and charitable fraud. These are serious charges. I need you both to come to the station for questioning. Are we under arrest? Sarah whispered. Not yet, but that may change. Depending on your cooperation. Sarah looked at me, mascara running, hair disheveled. The performance was over. Mark, please, don't let them. You did this to yourself. Martinez cleared his throat. Mr. Chen, did you provide the evidence we received? I did. My attorney compiled it. It's all legitimate. We'll need your full statement. Can you come down this afternoon? Yes. Foster gestured to Sarah and Linda. Ladies, let's go. We have a lot to discuss. Sarah stumbled to her feet. Linda grabbed her arm, holding her up. As they walked toward the door, Sarah turned back one last time. Mark, please, think about Lucas. You're doing this in front of our son. I looked at Lucas, standing next to me with wide eyes, then back at Sarah. I am thinking about Lucas. I'm teaching him that liars face consequences, that theft is wrong, that you don't get to hurt people and walk away. I'm his mother. You're a criminal who happens to be his mother. Detective Foster led them out. Sarah was still crying. Linda was arguing, both of them being escorted to patrol cars while neighbors emerged from their houses to watch. Someone pulled out a phone, started filming. By tonight, this would be all over social media. At 6:07 p.m., Channel 2 News ran the story. Lucas and I were at my brother's house. I'd called him immediately after the police left, explained everything, and he'd offered to let us stay there until things settled. We watched the broadcast together. A local GoFundMe campaign claiming to raise money for a mother's cancer treatment has been exposed as a fraud. Sarah Chen and Linda Moore Morrison allegedly faked Morrison's stage 4 cancer diagnosis to solicit donations from the community. Over 300 people donated more than $22,000, believing they were helping a dying woman. Cut to Sarah's Facebook posts, the staged photos, Linda looking sick. Medical records obtained by investigators confirm that Linda Morrison does not have cancer and is in good health. Surveillance footage shows Morrison engaged in normal activities, including yoga, shopping, and dining at restaurants, activities inconsistent with terminal illness. Cut to James's surveillance photos. Linda leaving yoga, Linda shopping, Linda drinking wine at lunch. Both women are currently under investigation for wire fraud and charitable fraud. GoFundMe has frozen the campaign and is working with authorities to return donations to victims. Cut to Detective Foster. This is a clear case of fraud. These women exploited people's generosity and compassion for personal gain. We take these cases very seriously. The anchor's face was grim. If convicted, Chen and Morrison could face up to 20 years in prison. We'll continue to follow this story as it develops. My brother muted the TV, looked at me. You okay? Yeah, that was brutal. It needed to be. Lucas crawled into my lap. Dad, is Mom going to jail? Probably, buddy. For how long? I don't know. That's up to the judge. Will I still see her? If you want to. He thought about that. I don't know if I want to. That's okay. You don't have to decide now. The fallout was immediate and complete. By Sunday morning, Sarah's Facebook posts had been shared over 15,000 times. Every local news station had picked up the story. National news outlets were calling it one of the most brazen charity frauds in recent memory. The comments on Sarah's posts were brutal. I donated $200. I trusted you. You're disgusting. My mother died of cancer. You made a mockery of her suffering. I hope you rot in prison. GoFundMe issued a statement. We have shut down the campaign and are working with law enforcement. All donors will receive full refunds. GoFundMe has zero tolerance for fraud. Sarah's employer, a mid-sized marketing firm, issued a statement. We have terminated Sarah Chen's employment effective immediately. We do not condone fraud or unethical behavior. Linda's friends abandoned her. The yoga studio banned her. The restaurants she'd been photographed at released statements condemning her actions. Social pariahs, both of them, overnight. The criminal charges came 3 days later. Sarah and Linda were both charged with wire fraud, federal crime, up to 20 years, theft by deception, state crime, 2 to 20 years, charitable fraud, state crime, 2 to 10 years, total possible sentence, 40 plus years each. Alexandra called me with the news. The DA is throwing the book at them. The public outrage is too strong. They can't afford to be lenient. What happens now? Arraignment in 2 weeks, then trial. Could take 6 to 12 months. But Mr. Chen, they're going to prison. There's no question. Good. I'm also filing for divorce on your behalf and seeking full custody of Lucas. Given the circumstances, you'll get it. Sarah will fight. Let her. She's a convicted felon. Or will be soon. No judge will give custody to someone serving prison time. The divorce was finalized 8 months later. I got full custody of Lucas. Sarah got supervised visitation, 2 hours per week, once she was released from prison. The criminal trial was straightforward. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Judge Michael Torres sentenced Sarah to 12 years in federal prison. Linda got 8 years, slightly less because she wasn't the one who'd created the GoFundMe. What you did, Judge Torres said at sentencing, was not just theft. It was a betrayal of human compassion. People gave money because they believed you were suffering. They gave from the heart. You exploited that. You deserve every year of this sentence, Sarah cried. Begged for leniency. Talked about Lucas needing his mother. The judge didn't care. You should have thought about your son before you committed fraud. 2 years after everything fell apart, Lucas and I were doing okay. We'd moved to a different neighborhood. Fresh start. New 8 memories. Lucas was in 3rd grade, doing well in school, seeing a therapist once a week to process everything. How do you feel about your mom? Dr. Jennifer Park, child psychologist with 18 years of experience, asked him during one session. I don't know, Lucas said. I love her, but I'm mad at her. That's okay, you can be both. Dad says she made bad choices. Your dad's right, but that doesn't mean you can't love her. Do you still love Mom? Lucas asked me later that night. I thought about it. About 9 years of marriage. About believing in someone who turned out to be a lie. I love who I thought she was, not who she really is. That's sad. Yeah, it is. Are you mad at me for loving her? Never. She's your mom. Love doesn't just stop because someone does something wrong. He hugged me. You're a good dad. I'm trying, buddy. Sarah called me from prison last month. We hadn't spoken since the trial. I'd blocked her number, her email, everything. But she called from a prison phone and I didn't recognize the number. Mark, it's me. I should have hung up, but I didn't. What do you want? I'm sorry. For what specifically? For everything. For lying. For stealing. For destroying our family. Okay? That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Sarah? That I forgive you? I don't. That I understand? I don't. I was desperate. You weren't weren't desperate. You were greedy. There's a difference. I made a mistake. You made 100 mistakes over 6 weeks. Every lie was a choice. Every fake photo was a choice. Every dollar you stole was a choice. She was crying now. I miss Lucas. He's doing fine without you. That's cruel. It's honest. He sees you twice a week for supervised visits. He's polite. He doesn't ask to see you more. That's your legacy, Sarah. Mark, please. I'm hanging up now. Don't call again. Wait. I hung up. Sat in my car outside Lucas's school, waiting for pickup, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no regret, just peace.